Okay, and then I've got to ask you this. You can't go a day without seeing artificial intelligence, AI, talked about in the news. Curious. I don't think it's going to ever replace the trades. Could it enhance? Will you see it enhancing the trades? Or
I
will
think
it
you're going
be
to see it.
non-existent?
I think you're going to see it more on the architecture side of things.
Okay.
I mean, AI can probably design a pretty good house or give you like 30 options, and more what an
Sure.
architect is doing is, piecing together. I only see architects as being on the fringe of the trades, essentially.
Right.
It's not a trade itself.
Right.
But no, I mean, I don't think it will do anything to replace trade. It can't, because AI is essentially software
Yeah,
and humans are hardware
that's right.
with software running us, And
Yeah.
so like while our software is going through the roof right now, our hardware is seriously lagging.
Yeah.
Like those dogs that run around, and I guess people you could theoretically put a gun on it. It's impressive. It's an amazing piece of robotics, but it is like
Yeah.
centuries away from
Yeah.
crawling under your house, measuring a joist,
Right.
going out to buying another one and cutting and
Yeah.
replacing
So
it.
you
So
don't
no,
see robots framing houses.
in factory settings, yes, and we've already been doing that for a
Sure,
while, and
of
it's
course.
still human assisted, like trust building. You go in there, they got all these crazy tables that do the work,
That's
but you still
right.
got people throwing down pieces and stuff
And you got,
too.
yeah, so I got
So
to tell you about this, and I'm glad you make this point.
yeah,
I took a call on the show recently where a guy was asking me, Ken, do I stay in my welding job that I really enjoy, or do I take another welding job that's going to pay me more? And I said, well, tell me about the other welding job. And it was a job where he was going to be monitoring a welding machine all day long, but he was going to make more money. And so to your point, they were hiring him, and he was going to make more money to not weld, but to
to
make
not
sure
well,
that the machine was welding properly. So I think the irony there is rich.
it is, and certain trades lend themselves to that more because they are more system oriented and they can be done in these controlled settings. Essentially, what you do is you produce a product and then you ship it. And so, yeah, we've been experimenting with modular houses. The first two houses I ever built or worked on back in '95 or '6 were modulars.
Mm-hmm.
We've been doing that for like 40 plus years now. It's come a long way, but it still hasn't, in America, it hasn't replaced stick building.
Yeah.
And I just don't, yeah, we're going to evolve. You're going to see more of that play a big role in the industry,
Yeah.
30% of houses, 40% of houses, but it's never going to fully replace it.
All right, I got to ask you this, and then
Yeah.
I'll let you go. Do you see an opportunity for these carpenters in their 50s, 60s? Take my father-in-law, 72. Guy's a phenomenal carpenter. He's retired. He's just putzing around, but he's making crazy money in this area,
Yeah.
just doing like reno projects and things like that. Is there a place for men and women like him in carpentry to be paid handsomely, to be training the next generation? If we see this evolution, like who's going to be teaching these kids if we see more trades being taught in high schools? I mean, is there an opportunity to become a part-time shop teacher, if you will, for retired or carpenters who physically just can't do it anymore, but they could get in a classroom? Do you see that as a potential economic side boom?
Side hustle. I do, although I do think it's complex. I think one, if you're talking in terms of like making money, that's the goal here, is to get these guys paid and get their knowledge transferred. Um, it may not be through the school system, not unless something about schools change, just because it's always been hard to be a teacher. I can remember being in middle school shop class, ironically, the only phase of my education where we had shop class of any kind. And those kids just gave that poor guy hell.
I get it. I get
I
it.
would,
I get that.
I would
But
be
let me ask you
terrified.
this: if it's privatized, so let's
Yes.
say,
Yeah.
let's say I decide to open up a carpentry training school in Williamson County, Tennessee, and I've got good carpenters who are older. They got all the knowledge, and they've got the time now. And then well, my point is, there's an opportunity there.
Absolutely. And yes, and not only is there an opportunity, we need it to happen, because I always said, like my grandfather was a master tradesman, multiple trades, and I always got this sense that when he was going to pass away, like so much information was going to go down with the ship. You know
Yeah,
what I mean? Like
I
he
agree.
he instructed for Evinrude Small Motors, like up and down the East Coast, would go do small workshops and stuff. And when he passed away, like stuff like that vanishes. So not only do I think it needs to happen, I think yes, maybe a type of privatization could help. And obviously you're looking at the content, boom, I'm living inside of it. You know, like my trade career got shortened by cartilage on the back of my kneecap. It took something that small to completely pull me out of the field. And as I was leaving it, I thought like, you know, I was about to go get like a job, an office job. And I just thought like, what's in my head has to be worth something. And the YouTube channel sprang out of that, and these online courses sprang out of that. But we have the greatest educational platform in the history of the world right in front of us right now.
That's right.
On YouTube. And there are other things like it. And I would encourage, what I would love to see is young tech savvy people teaming up with old trade savvy people to produce content and make money off it. And that's where I think the real money is.
Nice. So let me just make sure I hear this right. You take an 18-year-old that understands cameras and all that kind of stuff and how to edit YouTube, because that's their world. And they get with some old bird and they start making videos like you have, with teaching people how to install a shower or whatever.